Good morning. How's everybody doing? You guys seem a little tired. Why don't you give me a little shake real quick, loosen up a little bit. My name's Paul. I'm going to be a presenter today, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you guys the founder and president of Nagios, Ethan Galstad.
Are we on? Hopefully we can hear me now. Okay, sorry. Well, first of all, welcome to the 2012 Nagios World Conference. We're very excited to have you here. This is our second year holding this event. Last year we had a lot of fun, a lot of great presentations, and a lot of great opportunities to network and learn from each other, and we certainly hope to repeat that again this year. This year we've expanded the conference from a 2-day event to a 3-day event with more sessions and more tracks, so we certainly hope that you enjoy this event and find it useful. There's a wide variety of people here, a wide range of experience levels. There are, on one hand, very experienced Nagios admins who have been using Nagios for years and monitoring really huge environments. We also have people here in attendance who have just heard about Nagios and are not familiar with it. So I'm going to start out by giving a brief overview of what Nagios is. But first, I'd like to welcome all of our international visitors. We have visitors, attendees from over a dozen different countries worldwide. Faraway places like China and Russia, Australia, South America. So I know many of you have traveled a long distance to be here, and it's certainly really great to be here. So thank you for coming again, and welcome. So first, let's talk about what Nagios is, if you're not familiar with it. What I'm going to start out, though, is start out by talking about technology, because Nagios is all about monitoring technology, especially technology that goes bad, or breaks, or doesn't work. Technology is really, it makes our lives easier. It makes our lives very convenient. It makes our businesses run. We rely on it all the time, and we don't even realize it. It's very easy to, if you want to buy something, to go to Amazon's website and with a few clicks of a button, order a product, and a few days later that product arrives at your doorstep. And that's really awesome. It's made life extremely convenient, but there are thousands of IT systems that are in place that need to work properly in order for that kind of system to actually work. And a lot of times they do work well, and we don't even notice that they work well. We just take it really for granted. If you're a networker or sysadmin, you rarely probably ever have people come up to you and say, you know what, hey, Joe, thanks for running an awesome network. You know, it's really fast. I haven't had any connection problems. The server's, up all the time. You only hear from people when they're upset, when something's not working. So we really take technology for granted. My wife and I bought a piece of property out in the country. It had nothing on it, no power, no buildings last year. And we built a garage this year, finally got electricity. And it, through the process, it really made it clear to us how much we miss technology, or how reliant upon it we were. Simple things you take for granted, like running water, or electricity, or appliances, even before you get to things like the internet and computers, you really rely on them. So last week I was really excited. I went out to the property. I got satellite internet hooked up, so we're online now. We still don't have running water, no toilet, but we are online. I told my wife, I said, that's what happens when you marry a geek. So priorities change a little bit. But technology it makes our lives enormously easy compared to what it otherwise would be. And technology is great except when things go wrong. And if you're a sysadmin or a network admin, you know what I'm talking about. It's situations where your new server farm crashes on Thanksgiving Day, the day before Black Friday, when people start their Christmas shopping. And if nobody can get to your company's website to buy a product, your company is not going to be very happy. You're going to lose sales. If you're the last person to know about it, you're in a really bad position. If you don't have a monitoring solution like Nagios, and you're hearing about the outage from your customers or your boss or somebody else, that's not a very happy place to be. And it's very tough to fix problems after they've already occurred when you're under a great deal of pressure to actually solve them in a short amount of time. So that's where solutions like Nagios come into play. Nagios solutions, what they do is they monitor your IT systems, everything you've got on your network, your systems, your servers, your network infrastructure, and it makes sure that they're working properly. If they're not, Nagios will notify somebody, the appropriate people on your staff, and say, hey, look, there's a problem with your web server or your network switch. Maybe the disk space is getting low. It'll alert somebody so that they can hopefully fix the problem quicker than they otherwise would be able to. And by doing that, you save a lot of downtime. You increase the company's uptime. It gives you a lot of value. When you are able to solve problems fast, or even before they occur, a lot of times Nagios can notify you of an impending problem, like you are about to run out of disk space, so you should plan the upgrade now instead of once you've already run out of disk space. Nagios is able to allow you to, I guess, not only better uptime, but faster reaction time, and just really give you peace of mind. I mean, that's really what you want from software, is that you want it to make your life easier. And knowing that Nagios is in place, monitoring the systems that you rely upon, really is a really great thing. So, if you're not familiar with Nagios, there are three main solutions that are in the monitoring solution area. The first is Nagios Core. Now, for many years, Nagios Core was just called Nagios. This has been around since 1999. It's used by over 1 million people worldwide. It's a free open source monitoring and alerting engine. It's the main engine that can monitor your servers, monitor your network, notify people when things go wrong. It's got a very large community, and it's designed to be extendable. So you can enhance its capabilities or monitor new devices, new servers, through the use of add-ons or plugins, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. It's made it very flexible, and that's really led to, I think, its popularity around the world. Again, this is really what's been known as Nagios for a long time. It's free, it's open source, so a lot of people do use it. The second solution is Nagios XI. It's our commercial monitoring solution. It's built on top of Nagios Core and other key add-ons, and it's really designed from the ground up to be a very easy-to-use monitoring solution. If you used Nagios Core before, it's extremely capable, but usually you have to be a very technical person to configure it, install plugins, and manage the monitoring setup, and that usually works fine. It really hasn't slowed Nagios' adoption in the IT world thus far, but what we found is that while a lot of admins can get Nagios Core up and running in the environment, often once it's working well, other people in different departments want to start looking at it or start using it. Maybe they want to start monitoring something else that they're interested in, or they want to get reports. And it's not all that easy to hand over control of, at least management of part of the monitoring system with Nagios Core. It is with Nagios XI. We've added dashboards and user-specific permissions through the web interface and advanced reports and visualizations. So we just try to make it easy to use. The third monitoring solution for Nagios is not technically a monitoring solution. It doesn't go out and monitor your network per se. Nagios Fusion, what it does is it's essentially a central dashboard for Nagios XI and Nagios Core servers. A lot of large environments, what they do is they'll install Nagios Core, multiple Nagios Core, multiple Nagios XI servers throughout their IT infrastructure. Maybe they have a remote office in Paris or in Ohio. If there's a big network segment there or a remote office of some kind, they'll often install a separate Nagios server there. And what Fusion does is it ties all those separate Nagios servers together so that you can log into one web interface and quickly view the status of all Nagios XI and Nagios Core servers and what they're monitoring in one easy dashboard. So it makes it really easy. We've also added authentication, so you can authenticate once to Nagios Fusion, and you're automatically authenticated to your remote Nagios servers to be able to log in and kind of drill down. So that's kind of the basics of what Nagios is if you're not familiar with it. Many of you here are existing Nagios users, and you're very adept at Nagios, so you know what you're doing. There are some new things that have happened. There's a lot of new stuff that's happened in the past year. I have a lot to announce that has happened, and that things that we've been working on that we're about ready to release. First of all, some of the new things that we've worked on in the past year. First, the Nagios development as a whole. Nagios, as I mentioned, has a community of about 1 million users worldwide. So there are people all over the globe that use it. And it's designed to be extended so you can increase its capabilities by adding a plugin, writing a new component, a new add-on of some kind. The community has been very active. So this past year alone, there have been almost 700 new projects for Nagios, new plugins, new wizards, new add-ons, new applications that extend its capabilities written by the community and uploaded to our Nagios Exchange site. That brings a total of to about 3,500 projects total that have been uploaded to Nagios Exchange. Nagios Exchange is sort of a central location that we make available for people to share the things that they've created for Nagios. So it's a huge amount of development work that's being done by the community as a whole on Nagios. And most of the things at Nagios Exchange are free and open source. So if you need to extend Nagios' capabilities or monitor a new system, a new type of server, you can usually find what you need at Nagios Exchange. So check that out if you haven't already. Something new that's very cool this year with the community, we started working with several contributors or volunteers in the community to launch country-specific Nagios websites. And the first was in Brazil. A guy by the name of Rodrigo Faria, who happens to be here at the conference this year, started the first site in Brazil, and quickly thereafter several others followed. Rodrigo's actually been helping a lot of people get their sites up and running. These are sites where people write about Nagios, they do advocacy, they'll write new articles or presentations about Nagios, and really kind of develop the community in their specific countries or regions of the world. We're very excited about this network, so it's just gotten started. We're really looking forward to where it's going. Paloma Galan happens to be at this conference as well. Paloma is giving a presentation. Paloma actually started the Spain site, so we're really, of these 6 sites that are up and running now, we have 2 of the community volunteers here at the conference, so we're really excited about that. Let's move on to software development, or software packages. First in Nagios Core 4. This is Nagios Core 4 is going to be coming out. Nagios Core, as I mentioned, it's the open source monitoring engine. A lot of work has been done on this recently, mainly with cleaning up the internal data structures, making it run leaner, cleaner, and faster. There have been worker processes added, so you kind of have built-in distributed monitoring to allow you to scale better, monitor larger environments. Andreas Eriksson has been the guy that's been committing most of the code for this, so he's giving a presentation later today. If you're interested in learning more about what's happening internally in Nagios Core, make sure you check out that presentation. So, Nagios XI, we've also released, or are about to release. We've got it in testing, Nagios XI 2012. This is a new release of our commercial product. We've added more dashboards, bulk management capabilities, so that you can very easily change the monitoring configuration of multiple hosts or multiple services that you're monitoring. Added a lot of things like that in terms of bulk management that make it easy to use. New reporting, new visualization, so there's a lot to see here. I think there are several dozen capabilities that we've added to Nagios XI that make it even easier to use than before. Mike Guthrie will be giving a presentation later on that as well, so don't miss that if you're interested in seeing Nagios XI's capabilities. With Nagios Fusion as well, we've added new dashboards, better unified authentication, some central reporting now. So this central dashboard of multiple Nagios XI, multiple Nagios Core servers is able to give you more information at a central dashboard. And again, Nagios Fusion has customizable dashboards just like Nagios XI. So each user that logs in or accesses Fusion can set up their own dashboards as you know, for whatever they'd like to see when they log in. So a lot of stuff happening with this. Fusion will also be talked about later. Nagios Mobile is just a mobile app for Nagios XI and Nagios Core. Works on iPhone, Android, any kind of mobile app, any kind of mobile device, your iPad too. It's really handy to be able to silence alerts. If you use Nagios, you know it's great because it lets you know when things go wrong. It's also horrible because it lets you know when things go wrong. Things go wrong all the time. And if you don't configure monitoring correctly, you're especially going to get a lot of alerts. But even when you do, you will get false positives every once in a while. So it is really very handy to be able to acknowledge problems, schedule downtime, disable those alerts directly from a mobile interface without having to log in to your Nagios server separately. NSTI is a new project that we came out with in the past year. NSTI stands for Nagios SNMP Trap Interface. Nick Scott is the guy behind this on our team. He's going to be giving an update on this, I think, on Friday. It makes handling and managing SNMP traps in both Nagios XI and Nagios Core easier. SNMP stands for Simple Network Management Protocol. It is not simple. It's terrible to work with. Anybody who's used it knows what I'm talking about. So NSTI is designed to make managing, handling traps much easier. That's a free open source project. It's freely available from Nagios Exchange. We developed a new add-on called NRDS. It stands for Nagios Remote Data Center. This is a really cool application that we developed because we had customers that came to us with certain situations or certain problems, and we designed solutions that meet their needs. And this project was essentially designed to, I guess, deal with the problems. How do you monitor remote devices or things that move around? You don't always know how to monitor a laptop on your local network if it's always changing or the IP address is always changing. You can't always monitor it directly, actively, because its address is always changing. But more importantly, boxes that you install a monitoring agent on, if you want to update the configuration or update what's being monitored on it, if you're using a passive agent, a passive technology, you have to actually physically log into that box or get access to that box in some way to update its configuration. And we thought, hey, we need to come up with a solution where we can manage the configuration from a central server, and that's what NRDS does. So NRDS is a passive monitoring agent. It works on Linux, Unix, Mac, and Windows. We have a Windows version as well. It's a passive agent that you install in the box. It's built on NRDP. If you're not familiar with NRDP, NRDP is a passive agent that was essentially designed to replace NSCA. NSCA is probably the most widely deployed passive monitoring agent for Nagios that's out there. NRDP works over standard HTTP protocols, so it's much easier to work with. NRDS is built on NRDP. It makes use of that HTTP communication. But essentially what it allows you to do is once you've installed the agent on your remote box, that agent will send its monitoring data to the Nagios server, and every time it sends its data and checks in, it will ask the Nagios server, do you have a new configuration file for me? Do you want me to start monitoring something different or something new? And the Nagios server, if it has a new configuration to send out, it will send that down to the client. The client reconfigures itself and automatically downloads any plugins that it needs to start monitoring from the central NRDS server. So it's a really cool solution. Once you install NRDS on a box, you should never have to manually go in there and update plugins or change the configuration. So it's pretty neat. Scott Wilkerson will be talking about this a little bit later. In Nagios XI, NRDS works with both Nagios Core and Nagios XI. In XI, we made it easier to use. We've got a web-based wizard that you run. You basically say, okay, here's the machine that I'd like to install. It gives you the installation instructions, the script that you need to actually run on your remote Linux box or on your Windows box to install the agent. Once that's installed, the data starts reporting back to Nagios XI, and from the Nagios XI interface, you can select which things that are being sent into the Nagios server that you actually want to monitor, that you want to be alerted on. So it's pretty easy. So those are some things that we've come out with in the past year. We've been working on a lot of other stuff as well. Some really exciting stuff. Our team is really, we're in the middle of a number of different projects right now, and we put a lot of time into not only the projects that I've talked about, but other solutions and other products as well. So I'm going to talk about those quickly. Now, these solutions that I'm going to talk about and these products that I'm going to mention are also going to be talked about in other presentations and other talks during this conference. So if you're interested in learning more about these, definitely check out those presentations. The first solution is a solution called Nagios Reflector. We first designed NRDS to allow us to monitor easily devices that were on the network where we didn't want to go in and update the agent, update the machine with the new agent configuration. But the problem was, if you have a Nagios server in your central NOC and you don't expose its address or you don't make it available through the firewall, you want to protect it, which a lot of people do, and you still want to monitor remote devices like laptops. Like if you were to want to, for example, monitor the laptop that you have with you at this conference constantly with the Nagios server that you have back in your NOC, and you can't access that Nagios server from remotely, Nagios Reflector is a solution that we've designed that will allow you to actually monitor those remote apps. Nagios Reflector is essentially what it is. It's a hosted service, so you don't need to worry about firewalls on either end, either at the Nagios server or at the remote device end. You don't need to worry about NAT issues. You don't need to configure port forwarding. You essentially, what you can do is you install NRDP or you use NSCA, some NSCA-enabled agent, either straight NSCA on a Linux box or on a Windows box if you're using NS Client++. It's got NSCA capability built in. You can send passive data to the Reflector, which is a hosted service that we're developing. The data is then stored on that hosted service, and from your central NOC, from your central Nagios server, you can actually contact the Reflector and pull down all that monitoring data that's being sent in by those mobile devices. So it's a really nice solution for monitoring devices that are roaming, they're mobile, they change their address all the time, and when you can't directly get to them, where they can't directly get to the Nagios server, where you can't use either straight active or straight passive checks just on their own. So it's kind of a neat solution that we're developing. In XI, this is a quick demo. This is actually not available yet. Scott Wilkerson is going to talk about this in a later presentation as well. But we've got the ability, at least in Nagios XI, again, we have a web-based configuration interface where you go in, you create a token on this hosted server, you start sending data to it. Within Nagios XI, then you can query the Reflector and pull all the data in that you want to start monitoring. So we've made it very easy with a web-based wizard and configuration front end. A third solution that we're currently working on, or a second solution, sorry. The first one was a Reflector. The second one is something called nPush. This is really cool technology. A guy by the name of Yancey Ribbons, he's going to give a presentation on this. This is a problem that a lot of our customers have. So if you monitor Windows boxes in your network, if you need to push out an agent to those Windows boxes, it is not easy. It's easy if you've got a Linux or a Unix box that you want to monitor. You can simply use SSH to deploy an agent like NRPE or NRDS or NRDP to it. But with Windows boxes, it's not really very easy. There are solutions from Microsoft like SCCM that you can use to deploy packages, but those are not necessarily easy to use, and not everybody has those in place. nPush is essentially a solution that allows you from your Nagios server to automatically deploy agents, configure those agents, start those agents up, and have them start reporting data back to Nagios without having to log in to the remote box, without having to do a remote session or configure any complex software like SCCM. It's actually really pretty neat. I don't have a video of this yet, but you'll be able to see this in Yancey's talk, I think on Friday. Again, it allows you to automatically deploy essentially a customized version of the agent. What the wizard right now in Nagios XI that we have working allows you to say, I want to deploy an agent to this box or these 3 boxes eventually. You'll be able to do it to multiple boxes, but at least initially you can say, deploy it to this particular box. Here's the IP address. Here are the admin credentials to connect to that box. npush builds a custom NS Client++ configuration, bundles that package, pushes it out to the Windows box. It gets installed on the Windows box. The service gets started on the Windows box, and it starts reporting back to Nagios. So it's a really slick solution, and Yancey's going to demo what he's got working, I think, on Friday. Not only can you install clients like NS Client++, that's the first package that we built is for NS Client++, but you can also uninstall packages and reconfigure agents, all from your Nagios server, without having to remotely get into your Windows boxes. So that's a very cool solution, I think. So Reflector and npush are things that we're working on. They're very close to being released. We're kind of beta testing those with a couple customers. We're still developing some of the code internally in our company, but we expect those to be out relatively soon. We also have some new products, some commercial products that we're working on. And we developed these products as a result of talking with our customers and seeing how they used Nagios XI or Nagios Core, the monitoring solutions in their environment. We asked them, okay, what else do you need? What kind of systems do you interact with? What kind of IT management systems do you need in your environment? And there's a wide range of answers that we got depending on who we talked to, whether it was a large organization or a small business. What they needed was different. But we've taken that feedback that we've gotten and started development on 3 new products, 2 of which are about ready to be released. A third product has just started in development, and I'll talk about all 3 of those a little bit here. First product is called Nagios Incident Manager. This is an issue or incident management tracking system. If you're familiar with a help desk or trouble ticket system, it's essentially similar to that. It's a little bit different. It's essentially designed to track issues or incidents that an organization might have and work a little bit differently than a standard help desk system. Typically, a lot of online or ticketing help desk systems allow you to assign a ticket or an incident to one individual. We designed Incident Manager from the ground up to be essentially a platform for collaboration. So you can assign an incident or an issue to multiple teams of people, multiple individuals, and each of those team members or individuals can change the status of the incident. They can add notes to it. They can upload files. So one of the customers that was looking at deploying Incident Manager, they had a solution where, they envisioned using it in a solution where if they had a network outage due to one of their fiber optic cables being cut by the telecom or the utility company, they could create an issue in Incident Manager. Everybody in the company who cared about the issue, cared about network connectivity loss, which was a lot of people, could get access to the system, take a look at the status, post their comments. Maybe somebody was talking with the telco company, somebody else was working with a utility company, posting updates. It's got some features like a Twitter or Facebook where people can share information about an issue very easily. So this is something that we've released a couple of release candidates to our existing customers. We've gotten some good feedback. We'll be releasing this shortly. Incident Manager is designed to work as a standalone application. You don't even need to use Nagios XR or Nagios Core with it, but it does integrate with both of them. The integration that we've done essentially allows you to, if Nagios XR or Nagios Core detects that, for instance, your server goes down, you can configure the integration such that a new issue or incident is created in Incident Manager, a new ticket, essentially. And again, when Nagios detects that a problem has been resolved, that the server came back up online, it can automatically close that incident. So it's not hanging around as open. So it's really a lightweight ticketing or incident management system. It's not designed to be a full-blown help desk system. It's designed to be fairly lightweight for a specific audience. The second product that we're currently developing is a NetFlow and SFlow monitoring solution called Nagios Network Analyzer. If you're not familiar with NetFlow and SFlow, you might already be monitoring network bandwidth. So you can say, okay, I'm using a certain percentage of my bandwidth. You're maybe graphing the bandwidth usage over time. But the question really comes into play. It's like you can see, okay, I'm using a ton of my bandwidth right now. but what is that bandwidth comprised of? Who's actually using it for what? NetFlow and SFlow allow you to get some statistics on what kind of data is present in your total bandwidth. So how much data is being used for web-based traffic, how much for email, how much for backup traffic, maybe over SSH, and that kind of data is available. So Network Analyzer allows you to run custom queries and say, I want to know, who's actually visiting Facebook, or how much of the total traffic is going to social media, or is there any traffic present on ports that maybe viruses or Trojans use to send backdoor data? You can get that information with Network Analyzer. So it's a pretty powerful tool. Currently in development, Nick Scott is the main guy working on this. He's going to give a demo of it later on Friday as well. So very cool application. Again, it can stand alone as its own application. You don't need Nagios Core or Nagios XI to use it, but you can, if you do have either of those solutions in place, you can do integration. So when certain queries or certain filters are matched, for instance, if web traffic starts taking up more than 80% of the total bandwidth, you can have an alert generated in Nagios XI or Nagios Core. And likewise, you can, from Nagios XI or Nagios Core, actively monitor Network Analyzer to get the results of queries that you've set up. So pretty useful stuff that we think is going to be of use to network admins, sysadmins, and IT managers. All these applications that we're building really fit into the IT management arena. A lot of Nagios users, they have a lot of needs for different types of software in the greater IT management arena. So Network Analyzer and Incident Manager definitely fit in that. The third product that we're developing is really cool technology. We've kind of had this internally on our drawing blocks, or on the drawing board for over a year. It's something that I've wanted to do for quite a while, and that is essentially unlocking the power of event handlers in Nagios. Now, if you're an existing Nagios user, you probably know about event handlers. Event handlers allow you to automatically take some action when something happens in Nagios. Or Nagios detects, for example, that if Nagios detects that a server goes down, like your website goes down or your switch goes down, it's able to run an event handler to take some corrective action. And Nagios users have done things like if IIS or Apache fails, try to restart IIS or try to restart Apache. We've had people use event handlers to automatically cycle power on boxes that are dead for more than a certain amount of time. So you can do a lot of things with Nagios. Event handlers, the fact that you can automatically fix problems is pretty cool. I mean, if you got an alert in the middle of the night that said, hey, this service is failing, and Nagios automatically fixed it, and it emailed you back and said, done, back, it's working. You don't need to log in remotely. You don't need to go in to fix a problem. It's pretty nice. Anything that you can automate is pretty nice. So with Nagios Reactor, we took the idea of event handlers and expanded it a little bit more into greater workflows. And essentially what we did is we designed it so obviously defining event handlers or event chains or workflows would be easy to do through a web-based interface where you can define your own, what we're calling event chains, things that you can, process trees essentially, that you can design to take certain actions. And also then include some common tests and conditions. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. But the way we essentially envision event chains are you could have different event chains or different logic process trees set up for different types of things that you might want to handle. So for example, you might define an event chain or event handler that deals with web server outages. You might have a separate chain that deals with email server outages or bad network switch ports. You can define separate event chains that handle each of those things. When Nagios XI or Nagios Core or an external system that you happen to be using encounters an event that requires or that should kick off an event chain, what it then does is contact Nagios Reactor and say, I want you to execute this event chain, and here are some variables or data that I'm going to pass to you, things like the host that's down is CNN.com or file server 2. So some data gets passed to those event chains. Nagios Reactor then starts evaluating the event chain using different logic and different conditions that you put in there to take different actions. That's kind of abstract, kind of what we're looking at, how we've designed things to work. I've got some screenshots here of, we actually have a early beta. This hasn't been released to anybody yet, but internally, you saw the first copy of it about a week ago. And the guy who's developing it, Jeremy Eunice, did an awesome job of taking essentially what comes down to being a very complex issue when you try to make workflow management really easy to use for end users. It's not easy to actually develop a solution that makes it easy to use, but we have one. So Nagios Reactor right now is really early beta internal code right now. It allows you to define event chains in which you define workflows, and those are essentially that logic tree where you can say, if this certain condition is met, if this test equates to true or false, do these certain actions. If it evaluates to false, do these other things. So conditions that you might test in that event chain or that workflow would be things like, well, what's the current state of the host or the service that was passed in to me? Or what's the current time of the day? What day of the week is it right now? Or does this external shell script or PHP script evaluate to true or false? Or when I try to make a HTTP GET or POST request from an external API, what kind of result do I get back? So at each step in the event chain, you're able to execute conditional tests and test whether certain things are true or false. Based on whether they're true or false, you can then take different actions. And actions are things like Nagios Reactor can send an email. It can execute a shell script or a PHP script. It can execute a command over SSH. It can hit a HTTP API with a GET or POST request. So there's a lot of flexibility that we're building into this. We're going to come up with some examples that show people what they can do and how easy it's going to be to automatically configure a rule that allows them to restart services on a Windows box or on a Linux box with a GUI like this in a way that people can understand. Right now, if you're an Nagios admin, you can write all this stuff on your own, but you need to know how to write PHP or Shell or Perl to be able to do this kind of stuff. And while that's what things may run very well in those scripting languages, you guys are capable of doing that. A lot of people aren't, and that's where something like Reactor makes it very easy to define those steps with the GUI. So we're really excited about this product. Again, internally beta only. Jeremy Eunice is going to be talking about this. We've got a Birds of a Feather session, I think tomorrow, where we're going to talk about this. So if you're interested in Reactor, certainly join us then. So those are 3 new products that we are currently developing that are close to being released. Incident Manager, again, is in release candidate testing with some of our existing customers. Network Analyzer is still in the final stages of development. We've had some existing customers test it out at a really early stage. And Reactor is just at the very beginning stages of development. Nobody outside the company has seen this yet other than you. One thing that we'd like to do for all of you, we really appreciate that you guys have come here. These products, again, are not available yet, but what we're going to do is give each of you your choice of a free license. All 3 of those products are commercial products, but we'd like to give you your choice of a free license for whatever those products you'd like when those are released. They'll be perpetual licenses. You'll get a year of support from us. So if you're interested, definitely go to that URL. It's an attendees page for the conference. There's additional conference information there as well that you should check out. But at the bottom of that page is a form that you can fill out and select which product you're interested in, and we'll get you a license key when that product is released. So we just thought we'd like to say thanks with giving you something additional that you didn't expect. So again, that's what I have for you. We have a ton of stuff that we've worked on that we've developed in the past year, and things that are about ready to be released. We're really super excited about this stuff. And we certainly hope that you guys are interested in checking it out. A lot of these solutions, again, are being talked about in other presentations. So definitely check those out if you're interested. And again, I'd like to thank you on behalf of myself and the entire company for coming here again. We hope you all enjoy the conference and have a good time. So thank you.